Something feels odd here. Be on your guard.
That's quite some door, all right. This might finally be it. The heart of the beast.
We'll find the Renis Alma and the Red Woman inside, right?
After everything we've been through to get here, they damn well better be.
We'll probably be needing you to open this one for us, Sovereign.
Go for it, Alphen.
This is it, guys. Time to see what secrets are in store.
We're a long way from the residential quarters now. It looks completely different.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, this place... it reminds me more of being back inside the Wedge.
Except the Dahnan astral energy feels even stronger here.
In a portion of the city reserved purely for the Renin Sovereign.
Maybe he just has strange tastes?
This place looks like it has been here for quite some time now. If its design were a matter of personal preference, we would be talking from centuries ago. Or perhaps even further back. Still, this isn't the sort of decadence of taste spoken of in artistic circles. So what is it then?
Hold up, decadence? Artistic circles?
When a preference is indulged to its extreme, it descends into kitsch, eccentricity for the sake of it. I'd be happy to illuminate you further.
That depends. Does it involve you buying me lunch?
The void that art fills isn't the stomach, it's the soul.
In that case, I'll let you know the next time my soul starts to rumble.
Now all we need is something to fill up the void inside your head.
Shut up!
Volron! He really was still alive.
And there's the Renis Alma. Then, is this another spirit channeling ceremony?
Wait, though. Something doesn't seem right here.
Once more, the powers must be united. Born from the fires of chaos, the world does seek its rightful state. All must be sacrificed in the heart of Rena, at the shrine of the true sovereign.
What has happened to him? He's lost himself, reduced to a mere cog in a machine.
Hey, look! Over there!
Isn't that the Maiden's crest?
Can it be that this entire chamber is meant to act as a substitute for the Maiden?
It looks like it's still running, but... are we already too late to stop the ceremony?
If that's what caused Lenegis' transformation, then the purpose of the ceremony must have been to drain all the astral energy out of Dahna.
But for what purpose? What could possibly need astral energy on that sort of scale?
I don't know. But whatever it is, I'll bet it's connected to those visions of oblivion. Regardless, we cannot stand by and let them steal Dahna's energy. That said, We should retrieve the Renis Alma. Because right now, we need that most of all.
He's not gonna lunge at us out of nowhere, right?
Not the time, Law.
Alphen, look!
The Red Woman! So we finally found you. I have a lot of questions for you.
Wait!
What?
They all have the same face? How is that even possible? What is this?
Who the hell are they?
It can't be. Are they even people?
It's hard to know for sure, but I think they're the true rulers of Rena.
They're not feeling particularly talkative.
It's no use, Alphen. If we don't fight, we may as well be sitting ducks here.
Good point. Let's stop them before this gets out of hand. Dragon Swarm!
No further!
This one's mine.
Take
this! Let me help. That'll bring you down.
There!
Shield and freeze!
Dragon Roar!
Flaming meteor! Healing circle! Graviton field! By the
Try
power of
harder!
flame!
Thanks.
Finish without
Demon
a
Rat! Not done! Wheel Wave! Mirage!
Radiant
I'm not done!
regeneration! Odds of being interrupted.
Inside me yearns to be let free!
Let us take to the fray.
Here's a healing arm
Dragon
here!
Swarm!
First aid! I'll be
Take
safe
this!
Lightning! Far enough!
Now you see what I can do!
Heal! Down on the ground! Here's the evil!
Back to blade!
Boost of regeneration!
Forgive me! Stay away from my friend!
Burning more! Downfall! I'll bring you...
This should do it!
In the wind! Air drop! Pain between heaven and earth. I'm going to use all the power of my healing
Time to... Let it rip! This should do it! There! Dragon Swarm! There!
Pain between heaven and earth.
Dragon
If it's in
Swarm!
the sky, it's mine.
Coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno!
Here I come.
Take this!
Go!
The flame inside me yearns to be let free! Dragon Swarm!
I'm going to need to
Not
use all
today!
the power of my healing art.
Dragon...
Ready and rare!
Can't be
Stalagmite!
That'll bring you down.
There!
Benediction light.
Back into the
Dragon
fray.
Swarm!
Mega ray.
There!
Another incantation ruined.
Mega ray.
Dragon Swarm!
Can't get out of this!
Mega ray.
You're mine!
Benediction light.
It's on!
In here.
Here I come!
Lightning. Downfall. Let me show you what my arm on the ground.
This is looking
It's
good!
in your hands now.
You'll pay for that! Strike!
I'll bring you back from death to this.
Dragon Swarm!
Raging
I'm not done! Dragon
No
Swarm!
rest for the wicked.
In the wind.
Benediction light.
Air thrust.
This should do it!
Power of flame.
Here I come! Dragon
Shining supernova. Purge
Breath of life. Heal my weary
Okay.
companion.
Radiant flame.
Dragon Swarm!
Air Terra ray.
This heal!
Gemini aqua.
Take this! I'm not...
First air. Radiant pierce.
Here I come!
On the
I'm
ground.
out of ammo. I'm all
Begin.
stocked up.
Win.
Annihilation.
Heal my weary
You're
companion.
mine! No
Power
escape!
of flame. Air without a trace.
Boost of regeneration.
Take this!
A wailing dance
Don't
divine.
suffer in
You're mine!
Explosion.
Dragon Swarm!
Down on the ground.
Back you can!
Burning strike.
Prepare to be seized.
Mega air force.
Regenerate.
Raging cascade.
Try harder! I couldn't make it in time. No further.
Dragon Swarm! Coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno!
I still got some fight left in me.
I'll bring you back from death's abyss.
You're mine!
I'm resuscitation.
Here I come!
Here's a healing arc.
There!
My downfall.
I'm going to need to use all the power of my healing arts to accomplish it.
Here I come! There!
I'll bring you back from death's abyss.
Dragon Swarm!
Just what the doctor ordered.
Dragon Swarm! You're mine!
Chain between heaven and earth. Reload!
Let us take
Dragon Swarm!
Dantia,
Vacuum Blade!
thanks so much.
You're mine!
This one's mine.
No escape! You're finished!
I'm going to need to use
Dragon
all the
Swarm!
power of my healing arts to
Vacuum
accomplish it.
Blade!
Here I come.
break this night.
Blah, 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 magic.
Here I come!
Everlasting
shock!
Back into the
Purple
forest.
boom!
Chinese
Not now, not ever!
Forgive me. This is my fault.
Vacuum Blades! The flame inside me yearns to be let free! I'm not done! I owe you one! Burn in hell! Dragon Swarm!
Glacial Spear. Pierce evil.
No escape!
Air thrust.
Dragon Stop! You may be strong, but I'll never back down! Try harder! Not yet! Eagle Ray! Thanks!
Radiant pierce.
No further!
Wind astral energy. Dance
I'm
in
not
the
done.
wind. Air thrust.
Seismic Rupture!
Chain between heaven and earth. A whale
Dragon
of
Swarm!
lightning.
Demon Dragon Swarm!
Gale force.
Vacuum Blade!
Now it's my turn.
Let the marksman handle this.
This one's mine.
You're mine!
Thunder field strike. Go flash flat. Purge malevolent. Blah 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 magic.
Incineration Wave! Strike!
Here.
You're finished!
More for the stockpile.
Dance on the wind! Not today!
More with that heat from.
Anything in armor is all mine.
Down on the ground!
Raging
Leave the
cascade.
chargers to me.
Dance in the wind. Air thrust. A chain between
Can't
heaven
get
and
out
earth.
of this.
I could do without this
A
pain!
wailing banshee of
Dragon
lightning.
Swarm! Coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno! Shizara! Commander of Heaven!
Phoenix Cyclone.
Heal! Surrender! Fighting is useless now!
Do you think it's really over?
Astral energy.
Watch out! They've got something up their sleeve.
What?
It's self-destructed?
Alvin!
I'm okay. Just a little roughed up.
You had me worried there.
Who said you could touch that?
Damn it! He's awake!
I should have thought as much.
So you know this place?
Naturally, it was built for me, after all. We'll save that for another time. More pressing is how I'm going to tear you apart.
Even after all this time, you still insist on hating me?
You cut me down. Sovereign or not, you will pay for that.
You're obviously bluffing. You can't even move right now.
Really, is that what you think? Did you really think that such a petty device could hold me?
Are you going to claim it's because you're a ruler? Be it sovereigns or lords. In the end, they're all titles given by someone else.
Plus, what kind of ruler would spend all his time chasing Alf, who happens to be another sovereign?
Idle prattle. I proved my worth and the Sovereign's powers were granted to me.
Were they really? We already know the title of Sovereign doesn't denote royalty. It is but an overblown codename for those with a designated part to play in these proceedings. You mentioned before that you were not the only one stolen from Dana, correct?
Yeah. There were countless. And every one of them besides me died.
All of those failed experiments, and they still kept going back to Dana. There must have been some vital reason their subject had to specifically be a Danan. Then there were the records we found in the library, for you and Volron. They were logged 300 years apart, and yet the data they took from you was exactly the same. Which leads us to a single conclusion.
Then you mean Voron was kidnapped just like Alphen? But then he became a...
A slave from Dana. Just like us. Isn't that right, Volron?
So he posed as a Renan and caused all that suffering to his own people?
How could you? If you knew the pain of being a slave, why would you inflict that upon others?
Renan and Dana are meaningless distinctions. Me and everyone else. That is all that matters. I will stand above all others and take what is rightfully mine, starting with this.
A red woman?
Another one?
Give your master back on Rena this message. No one makes a fool of me. Let them know I'll make them suffer.
Don't do it!
Serenus Alma!
It's too late! You can't stay here!
We need to go. Alphen!
Go. But know I will be your shadow no matter where you try to run.
Let's go.
Never forget, I am the one who devours everything. Who answers to neither spirit nor man. My word is law. I am...
Are you two okay?
Yeah. We'll be fine.
Is Volron... have we finally seen the last of him?
We can but hope.
Those red women. What the heck was their deal?
Could they be the ones behind all this? The same ones who put those soldiers in Faria in a trance?
What, those brainless things? Either way, they've done a runner with the Renasolma. Damn it, that's the second time now!
Whatever's stolen from us, we'll steal it back. The future's ours to protect. And right now, those things are what's standing in our way. We can head them off at Rena.
Did you say Rena?
Volron mentioned a master of theirs holed up in the Motherland somewhere.
If that monstrous form's their true identity, I shudder to think who they take orders from.
Yeah. There's a good chance it's not human. That's for sure.
So this thing over on Rena, that's what's really behind all this, huh?
They have the Renasolma in their grasp already, so it's unlikely they'll have cause to return to Dana. I agree that Rena's our best shot.
Then we're agreed. Let's head back to the starship.
But seriously, I was not expecting Volron to actually be here.
He seemed to care not one whit about Renans or Danans.
Yeah, and not in a good way like with us.
I didn't see that coming about Volron. As for those...
Tell me about it. One minute they look perfectly human.
They definitely weren't Renan or Danan. I'm not even sure language would get through to them.
So what were they then?
Is the most terrifying thing any...
How about you, Shion? Dohalim? You have...
No, never. However, if they're the same as the Red Woman we've seen with Volron, I think it's safe for us to assume...
I had just so much I wanted to ask them. About Rena.
Unfortunately, they blew themselves up before we got the chance. Why would they do such a thing, though? To take us with them?
Both sound plausible to my ears. They took off...
Yeah, they did. And the next time we...
Way.
Take this! You got spirit!
for talking it out.
Now you'll learn!
This one's mine.
I'm not done!
Fire support!
This ends now!
Consider yourself finished!
I'll heal you all!
The enemy wields arcs too.
We'll soon see about that!
Healing circle! Appreciate the help.
Try harder! My turn!
Appreciate the help.
I'm not done! Vacuum blade! Severing wind!
Now! Kisora! Go for it!
Prepare to crumble.
My turn! You're mine!
This one's mine.
Hurricane blast!
Here goes! Redwell! Astral energy! Full throttle!
My turn!
Hurricane strike.
Hurricane thrust!
One more.
Mirage! It's time! Dragon force!
Now!
Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade! I'll do everything I can with this power.
Make us proud, Alphen.
Yeah, we're counting on you.
I guess I am too. A little.
Out of my way.
You're mine! I'm not done! This one's all mine! Vacuum blade! Dragon
These
force!
ones can run rings around us.
I'm not done! Dragon force! Too fast! Stand back! I'll trip it up! Here I come! Damn!
Here's a healing arc! Need to pull myself together.
Dragon force!
Saving this one.
Vacuum blade!
I'm gone.
Dragon force! Coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno!
Here.
My turn!
Hurricane strike.
No escape! It's time! Dragon force! Take this! This one's all mine!
I'll heal you all.
Damn!
Appreciate the
Dragon
help.
force! Dragon force!
Sleep now.
Damn! We're dead! Dragon force! Vacuum blade! Dragon force! Severing wind! Chill!
This ends now.
Consider yourself finished!
A comfortable win.
Little help.
You're mine!
Take this.
Here's the evil.
Here I come!
Switch to offense.
Vacuum blade!
Meteor.
Incineration wave!
This one's mine. This one's mine. Flaming meteor.
Dragon force!
Explosive ring. I'm out of ammo.
You're mine! Vacuum blade! Dragon force!
I'm gone.
Stardust!
Here's the
Lightning orb!
I'm not done!
Here's the evil whirling struggle! Tiger blade! Winds of heaven! Roar power!
Take this!
Sleep now!
Do it!
Vacuum blade!
Get toasty!
Burn strike!
There! Hurricane strike!
Lightning orb! Here! How was that came
I'm
from?
not done!
Raging cascade!
Vacuum blade!
Hurricane strike!
I'm not done!
This one's mine!
A wailing banshee of lightning!
Let's keep our eyes on the prize.
What the? When did it get pitch dark all of a sudden?
The lights are all out. Think it has something to do with the explosion back in the Forbidden Zone? Doe?
You two.
Faria, Avakir. Thank goodness you're safe.
Avakir filled me in about everything. About how I ambushed you all.
She doesn't remember a thing, so she really was being controlled.
He told me about Tarnigan, too. Is it true?
What difference does it make? What's done is done.
Stop casting me off, just for once!
Faria, not now. It can wait. Dohalim, Lenegis is in grave peril.
So I can see.
It's the city's core reactor. It's damaged. Some of the basic systems we've managed to keep online, but complete restoration's still a way off.
You're an elite technician, though. You can fix it, right?
If so, then what's the problem?
Panic's begun to set in among the citizens. Until now, whenever something like this happened, the Sovereign would issue a decree. But this time, not so much as a peep. Any longer, and we run the risk of riots breaking out before we can get things back up and running.
Forget the Sovereign. I doubt you'll be hearing from him anytime soon.
What's that supposed to mean? Do you know something I don't?
Suffice it to say, the Sovereign isn't the kind of ruler we thought he was. That is, if he ever even existed, which is looking doubtful at this stage.
Are you out of your mind? Why, if people knew that a lord such as yourself was whispering such blasphemy, they'd...
There's no time to explain now. It sounds like we need to find a way to keep Lenegis from spiraling out of control.
We need to stop that riot.
But how do we do that?
Riots feed on discontent and unrest, right? So if we want to keep the peace, we just need to put people's minds at ease.
At ease? Like by letting them hear directly from someone they trust. That's it. Who's the highest-ranking person in Lenegis right now?
Lenegis wouldn't have a next in line. After all, you said the Sovereign rules over everyone directly, right?
Correct. The closest thing to an authority figure would be a lord. And the only one left is... Ah. Very well then. Avakir, you mentioned a few facilities were still online. Which ones?
Why hasn't the Sovereign said anything?
Please, won't somebody explain what's going on?
Is it over? What's going to happen to all of us?
Heed me now, fellow Renans of Lenegis. It is I, Lord Dohalim Ilkaris of Eldermen and Sia.
Look, up there! It's Lord Dohalim!
Hold on! He should be in the crown contest! Shouldn't he? Why isn't the Sovereign talking to us?
The Sovereign is seeing to other matters right now. In my capacity as Lord, I speak to you in his stead. You're afraid. As people so often are when faced with the unknown. I hope you'll allow me to put your fears to rest. The city's core reactor has experienced a malfunction. However, we have our top engineers attending to the matter, and things will soon be back to normal. I know that you feel abandoned, perhaps more scared and alone than ever before. But I ask you all to keep one thing in mind. You are Lenegis, not the Lords and Sovereign. The solidarity of its citizens is the mortar that holds it together. If we don't allow ourselves to be distracted by our differences, if we put our hearts and minds together and stand as one, I am confident we will find new hope. I would be honored to stand with you. Not as a person of loftier rank, but as another human being among many. I hope that you'll lend me your strength, for if we can persevere as one, I know a bright tomorrow awaits.
Your speech seems to have done the trick. Looks like the city won't be descending into chaos after all.
I only pray the relief will tide the city over for the time being.
What you said earlier, about the Sovereign possibly not even existing, was it true?
It's still too premature to say with any certainty, but I believe so. This whole time, this world we've been fed was a lie, built on nothing but falsehoods.
But it can't all have been...
I can believe it. After everything I saw in the Forbidden Zone, what they did to Faria, it's the only explanation that makes sense.
But what about hierarchy, Avakir? Authority? The very foundations of Renan society? How can we live without someone to guide us?
I'd say we found someone capable of doing just that, wouldn't you?
You? You can't be serious.
I have business I must take care of first. But once everything is over, I shall return. But not as your sovereign, nor as a leader the likes of which the people here are used to, I think.
But how else do you propose to rule?
I'm not sure yet. All I have is a feeling that here in Lenegis, a new dawn is on the verge of breaking. One in which people won't be judged by birthright or on the power of their astral arts, but on other things. More important things. Things like, oh, I don't know, musical talent, for example.
When I bumped into you after all those years, I said you were no different. But I was wrong. Truth is, you were always different. I feel like maybe now I can finally begin to accept Turnagain's death. To see a future.
You go finish whatever it is you've got to do. I'll hold down the fort here in Lenegis till you get back.
Thank you.
I guess you're not going to make it to Menancia for the foreseeable future, huh?
Indeed. Forgive me.
The people of Elda Menancia can look after themselves just fine. It's the ones here on Lenegis who need someone to guide them. Besides, with you leading the people here, it'll help spread the idea of coexistence beyond Menancia's borders that much faster.
Sounds like you're in it for the long haul.
How could I not be, after the second chance that I've been granted? From this day forth, I shall dedicate myself to the future inhabitants of this world. Though the memories of the departed shall remain forever in my heart.
Remember, you're going to be leading the people here, not ruling them.
True enough. Whatever would I do without you, Kisara?
With or without her, I suspect you're gonna have your hands full when the time comes. We should be heading back to the ship. Business on Rena awaits. Looks like the people of Lenegis can rest easy.
I couldn't have done it without your words of encouragement, Law.
Hey, you're the one who made the speech.
I think everybody can share the credit here.
In one sense, when all is said and done, perhaps I have been a slave this...
You, a Renan lord?
I was complicit in the Renan system, bound by its values, resigned to being swept along, without... And when I realized the severity of my mistake, a lord, and yet my first instinct was to place my fate in the...
I think I can relate. I couldn't stand watching my people bow and scrape. The ability to think for yourself and be your own master. That's what separates a slave from a free person. At least, that's what Zephyr taught me how to fight. But in doing so,
even if it means stumbling along the way, if it's on a road of our own choosing, or, to put it another way, so long as his heart is compromised, even the loftiest of kings is no freer than a slave. This Zephyr character sounds like he was a wise man indeed.
There's just so much I wish I could ask him.
How long have you known?
Known what?
About the darkness I carry inside me. You seem to have...
Why ask me now? But yes, I have. I've pretty much known that something was...
So basically since the very start of our journey then. Just when I thought I...
Leave the past where it belongs. We have no need for it now. If my brother could see you...
Not a...
Well then, just as well as...
Kisara? Among other things. To be entirely honest.
You were thinking about Dohalim.
I was just thinking how good it is to see him. It was always so infuriating, knowing how capable he could be if he just put his mind to it. A prisoner trapped, but now, he's finally
So, then...
Oh, I don't know if I'd say sad. There's a bittersweetness to it, I guess. It probably sounds weird, doesn't it? I have this massive worry off my mind.
Must be that maternal...
Rinwell's right. You're like
a pretty big...
That's one way to look at. All this has made me realize I can't... If Dohalim can forge his own path ahead...
Hey, that actually... thought we'd find answers on Lenegis, but we just ended up finding more questions.
You can say that again. And now we have more problems to fix, too. Like figuring out how to reform Lenegis.
That can wait for now. We've got more than enough on our plates to deal with as it is. Like figuring out who's really running the show on Rena.
Yeah. Which is why we're going to the Renan homeworld.
All the answers we've been looking for are on that planet. The person responsible for all this. The Red Woman and the Renaissalma. The answers have to be there. Are we prepared to finally find them?
So, what do we do first when we get there?
We know nothing about the Renan homeworld or what we might face once we arrive. We should get a feel for how things are on the ground before we take any serious steps.
It's also entirely possible that the first thing we're going to face is an attack.
If we come across a capital, we should... What? Damn! The hell just happened?
Our course has been altered. The coordinates are pointing to a different destination.
What's that?
The ship's controls aren't accepting my commands. The engine is being shut down.
That's bad, right?
Quite bad. We've lost control of the ship.
Is all of this the Red Women's doing?
Are they trying to finish us off before we can land?
Everyone! Look there!
A flower blooming out of Rena?
But that flower looks like it's absorbing all of Dana's energy.
And it appears Lenegis is serving as a conduit for that energy to reach here. Could that have been its true purpose all along?
If that's true, do you think the people back on Lenegis are all right?
We can only pray that they are.
Damn it! Haven't they taken enough already? When is this going to end?
The Flower of Oblivion.
With everything that's happening, we need to get back to Lenegis. Is the ship still offline?
Unfortunately, yes. Even more so than when it lay dormant.
Can you fix it?
Starships are extremely complex machines. One wrong move while we're out here in space could very well cost us our lives.
So what? We're just stuck inside here, floating around? For how long?
I don't believe this. We've made it all... this way, and now we're stuck here? We're watching Dana die before our eyes, and we have no choice but to sit here and starve to death?
Law, calm down! You're not the only one who's worried here.
Right. Sorry.
It's still too early to give up. There has to be a way to get out of this.
Alphen.
Now what?
The starship, it's back online?
No, this is different. Something is pulling our ship in towards it.
We managed to get moving, but where are we?
It looks like Lenegis in here.
Do you think we might run into more Renans here? Or those red women?
Perhaps. Someone brought us here. The question is, who?
We haven't been ambushed, so that probably means they aren't hostile. Still, why would anyone want to bring us here?
Hey, Shion!
If they wanted to attack us, they could have done so while we were back on the starship. We should see where this path takes us.
Shion, just in the nick of time.
No!
What the... Oh...
No, I'm the one who...
Again, Law? Can't you even go a minute without putting...
Seriously, it's fine. I'd rather that than people feeling like they're walking on eggs. Besides, I'm the one who should be vigilant about not touching you guys.
Actually, I've been meaning to ask.
I guess I never really thought about it in those terms. It was either accept it for what it was, or before long, it was just part of my everyday reality. Which isn't to say I didn't feel alone.
So numb to your reality, you couldn't even recognize it as loneliness?
It's fine.
But I can't even touch you.
I appreciate that. Until I get rid of these thorns, I guess I'll have to put up with it just a little longer. But not forever. Maybe it'll be soon, maybe it won't be. That either way, the day...
Yeah, just hang in there. One day...
What the? Are you?
Oh, come on. How am I
It's called experiencing feelings appropriate to the situation.
Yeah, but seeing you act...
Oh.
Staying alert is important, but too much caution can cloud your judgment.
I still can't get over what we saw happening outside the starship.
Yeah, our planet's really not doing too hot right about now.
I've only ever seen Rena from the surface of Dana, so I figured it was just another round planet. Still, though, I never would have imagined Rena actually looked like that. And what's the deal with that
Beats me. I have absolutely no clue.
Rena and Dana. We were taught that both worlds were spherical bodies. But to think that they lied to us, not only about the Sovereign and the Crown contest.
Dohalim.
Okay. That beam of light joining Dana and Rena.
That's what it looked like. And then the Danans...
Perhaps it was some kind of directive from the Renan homeworld?
Which would mean that whoever's behind all this is on Rena after all. But what are they after?
Try to stay calm. With so many factors we don't understand. What is it?
No, it's just... so much for me.
You made it this far. You notice something, you change it. That's all anyone can do.
This place looks a lot like that room we saw back in the Forbidden Zone.
Huh? What's that? It's one of those!
A red woman in disguise. Or is this their true form?
So it was a trap?
It doesn't look like it can move. Tell me, are you the one who brought us here?
That is correct. It is unusual for me to have unexpected guests these days.
It can talk.
What are you?
Hevrect 35.
Hevrect 35. Is that your name?
Correct.
What is this place? No, wait, before that, just what exactly are you? Are you somehow associated with the Red Women?
Before I answer, I have a question for you. How did you all arrive in this sector?
We did not come to this place by choice. Our ship was brought here against our will, by a group of red women who can shift into the same form as you.
In that case, we can assume my brethren who serve the Great Spirit have deemed you all to be a threat most grave.
What do you mean, serve? Are you saying there really is someone more powerful than the Red Women, pulling their strings?
What did you do to us?
I examined your bodies. You have not been harmed in any way. Identifiers detected. The Sovereign and Maiden are among you. However, you aren't under its control. I see why they viewed you as a danger now.
Oh goody, more riddles.
Do you think we can trust this thing?
Like it or not, it may be our best chance at a ticket out of here. Let's at least hear it out.
I shall now answer your questions. We are Helganquil. The red women you encountered previously are a form of disguise we employ from time to time, but not our true form.
Helganquil?
You are on Dake Phasol, a celestial base which drifted here by accident. The will of Rena's great spirit no longer reaches us here. Since my sudden separation from the Great Spirit's influence, I have used any and all means to extend my lifespan. As I have done so, I have also set out to monitor and research Rena and Dana from this position.
A question. What is this Great Spirit of which you speak? Is it something that rules over your kind?
Correct. The Great Astral Spirit is a large mass of astral energy that fills all of Rena, one with its own will, a voice we cannot refuse.
A voice? Just like Dana.
The voice of the Great Spirit speaks to our hearts directly, and we have served it, without question, throughout the ages.
Does that mean it was controlling your minds? Wait a second. Could this Great Spirit be the true Sovereign of Rena?
The true ruler of Rena. It could be the same thing that's controlling Volron.
Wait, back up. You're telling us this great spirit of yours is the one that ordered you things to harvest the astral energy from Dana? I'm not sure I believe that.
Why not? We've already made contact with the will of Dana back in the Wedge, and in the Forbidden Zone on Lenegus. If Dana has a will of its own, I don't see why Rena wouldn't.
Maybe not, but think about what you're saying. If Dana has a will like Rena, then that would mean that we've been controlled by the voice of Dana this whole time, just like these things.
Dana's will hasn't been forcing us to do anything.
Yeah, but...
Let's assume that what Hevrect 35 claims is true, and that we are indeed cut off from both planets. Even if we had previously been under the control of Dana's will, we would have noticed now that we are disconnected.
Your fear is not based in logic. The voice of Dana is much smaller and quieter compared to that of Rena's Great Spirit. Rena's astral energy is amassed at its center, whereas Dana's is shared among all its constituents. So thinly is that energy spread that it cannot coalesce and formulate a will. Our findings here indicate as much.
Which explains why we felt its will where we did. The Wedge and Lenegus are where so much of that energy had been accumulated.
The Great Spirit's desire is to consume all astral energy. And the pursuit of that desire is why you see Rena in its current state. As a result, it has turned its attention toward Dana.
Is that why the crown contest is necessary? So that the Great Spirit can feed off of Dana?
Indeed. And it was to that end that we Helganquil devised the crown contest. Had the initial spirit channeling from 300 years ago succeeded, all of Dana's astral energy would have been seized.
But the ceremony failed. Lenegus was severely damaged, and you lost both the Sovereign and the Renasalma.
Correct. A change in plan was required to ensure the spirit channeling's success. However, recreating the Renasalma required a vast amount of energy. That is why we turned to Dana.
So that was the real purpose behind the crown contest. An efficient means to harvest the necessary energy from Dana.
This is all happening because of me.
Nevertheless, you still haven't answered one of Alphen's original questions. Just why have you brought us here to your base, Hevrect 35?
First, it was to confirm the identities of you, my unexpected visitors. Second, it was to ascertain whether you would be likely to accept my request.
A request? But what could someone like you want us to...
I wish for you all to slay the Great Spirit.
I'm sorry, did you just ask us to kill your master?
I did. It is in your best interest that you do so, I might add.
What makes you say that?
Lenegis has entered the final stage of the spirit channeling plan. As we speak, Dana's energy is being harvested en masse and transmitted to Rena. If nothing is done about the Great Spirit, it will not be long before all is lost.
You're saying the destruction we saw earlier is just the beginning? That...
We won't let that happen.
Why do you want us to kill the Great Spirit so badly? Is it to save our world? To free you, Helganquil, from under its control? Why?
No. My primary concern is validating our findings and analysis, which have taken many years to realize. As such, it is my desire to see how your actions impact and change these systems. However, I will not deny that vengeance also plays a part.
Vengeance? For what?
In spite of our long service to the Great Spirit, our species is on the brink of extinction.
You mean... you're dying?
At this stage, it would be wise for you to talk with the others. Ask them what you need to know. Once you have your answer, return to me. If you agree to help, I shall fix your ship.
Others? Just how many of you are there?
I am the only Helganquil who inhabits Dake Faisal.
Hey! Hey!
It's no use. I think it's done talking to us. Let's take a look around.
You can't seriously be buying anything that creature told us, right?
To be honest, the conversation went on for so long, I'm not sure I understood.
At the very least, everything it said about the Renan Great Spirit adds up. At the end of the day, that being said, had we not previously encountered the will of Dana, I suspect...
The spirit of Rena wants to see Dana completely destroyed.
But why? Astral energy...
It doesn't matter. I don't care if we're up against an entire world or...
Right.
There is one other thing that how the Great Spirit, the Helganquil, and the Crown Contest are all part of a centuries-long plan is clear enough. But what about the Ren...
Now that you mention it, and all that talk, Hevric 35 never even brought up the Renans once. And as for the Helganquil, we never did find out just what they are either.
Maybe it had a reason for keeping its silence. Or perhaps there's even more going on. Let's find out. Who are they?
What is it?
Oh, my apologies. It's just been so long since I've seen any humans from the outside world.
Are you a Renan?
Hmm? Oh, yeah, I guess so. The Overseer told us to answer any questions you might have. Whatever you want to know, we'll tell you as much as we can. But be quick. Our subjects are undergoing a dramatic shift that we don't want to miss.
What a weird guy.
He must have meant Hevrecht 35 when he mentioned that Overseer.
And what was that about subjects? You don't think he meant Dana and Rena, do you?
There isn't anyone else we can talk to. I guess we should ask around here.
Have you guys lived up here in Deg Faisal with Hevrecht 35?
Yes. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, just we regularly go into stasis, so our sense of time has gotten rather out of...
Why are you all even here in the...
Originally, this station was where we worked to perform maintenance on Lenegis from the out...
We heard that the facility ended up in its current location.
Oh, it was terrible. Apparently there was some kind of accident, and when help never arrived, they presumed the entire...
And you've been working for Hevrecht?
Well, at first we thought that there was nobody else inside the facility. But then it turned out...
What do you mean?
The Helganquil have the technology to cloak them. As long as they don't do anything obvious, a Renan won't see one, even if it's right in front of them.
Which would explain why Shion and I failed to notice the Red Women previously.
I haven't been able to scientifically confirm it for myself, but from what I understand, the type of cloaking they use is primarily achieved through mechanical means. In addition, they also used hypnosis devices and information control to get us to do what they wanted without being detected. It's a pretty sophisticated operation, especially since it avoids any unnecessary conflict. I have to imagine that's how Lenegis is still run.
But aren't the Helganquil themselves controlled by the Great Spirit? If so, why aren't Renans affected by it in the same way?
The Great Spirit's mind control only works on Helganquil, so they had to employ other means to manipulate us Renans.
You act like this didn't affect you personally. If I was you, I'd be mad as hell at their deceptions.
I mean, sure, I was surprised when I first found out about it, but it happened so long ago.
Hevrecht 35 has clearly ceased concealing itself, though. Why is that?
Who can say? My guess is it just got bored, or maybe even a little lonely.
Don't you want to go back home to Rena or Lenegis? Our ship is going to be fixed pretty soon. You could ride with us.
No way. If we went back after knowing the truth, they'd either just brainwash us or purge us outright. After all this time, there's nothing to be gained from going back. We've all agreed it'd be best to simply stay here and watch everything unfold instead. Things are going just fine with the Overseer. Not that it'll be around much longer. It can't extend its life any further. That said, I'm sure it's pleased to see the final stage of the plan before it passes on, though.
Thank you for answering our questions. Can we talk to you for a few minutes?
Sure. It's going to be a while before the two planets undergo their next shift, so I can talk until then.
Please, tell us what you know about the Helganquil.
You mean the Overseer's species? I can't say I know much about them.
Well, for starters, where'd they come from?
Where else? From Rena, obviously.
From Rena? Wait, are you telling us those things live right alongside the Renans down there?
Of course not. There's really no such thing as Renans in the first place.
Excuse me?
Oh, I thought the Overseer explained everything.
Apparently not.
Please, tell us more.
Well, in a nutshell, the Renans were originally created from Danans by the Helganquil.
But if that's true, then that would mean there aren't any people on Rena.
There aren't. But there are Helganquil. That's what the name literally means in their language. People of Rena.
But what need could they possibly have to create a whole new race of people?
It was a way to bolster their dwindling workforce. I trust you're aware that the Helganquil are on the verge of extinction, yes? In essence, we were created to carry on their work for the Great Spirit after they all die. They gathered Dahnans who had an affinity for astral arts and proceeded from there. That's why we, as their descendants, can all cast arts, albeit to varying degrees.
Let me get this straight. Are you saying Renans were originally created from Dahnans that the Helganquil kidnapped?
Wait, that explains why almost nobody can use Astro Arts on Dana now.
Helganquil technology is truly amazing. The way they alter their bodies is far less invasive than your conventional surgeries.
They have these tiny machines that are practically invisible, which they insert into their bodies and...
Enough! You needn't tell us anymore.
How can you speak so calmly about all of this?
I guess I can see how, when viewed in a certain light, their ways may sound grotesque. But if you ask me, I think they ultimately did us a favor. They saved us from crawling the earth in ignorance. If it meant their hands had to get a little dirty in the process, then so be it. Anyway, the Helganquil are the real Renans. Personally, I don't think it's such a big deal. They're also mostly the ones behind what you see going on between the two planets. I think that covers just about everything worth knowing.
I see. Thanks for filling us in.
Does he really expect us to believe that Renans never truly existed? How absurd.
Dohalim.
Just when I think we're getting to the bottom of it all, some new revelation smacks us in the face.
Then let's hope this is our last revelation for a while. Do you know anything about a spirit channeling plan?
If you mean the first plan from 300 years ago, then yes. Do you know what its main objective was?
Yes. It was to use Lenegis to siphon off Dana's astral energy and send it to Rena.
Exactly. However, there were two problems we had to consider. First was how to collect and send such a large quantity of astral energy without it becoming sentient. Second, we had to figure out how to convert Dana's energy so it would be compatible with Rena.
I take it the solutions to those problems were to use the wedge for the collection, and then the Sovereign and Maiden to convert the energy.
We have a winner! However, the first plan failed when the Sovereign was overwhelmed and became frenzied. The reason for that is because the Maiden lost control. I'm told he slaughtered many Renans in Helganquil that day. For the next plan, we tried to recreate the Renis Alma, but we didn't have nearly enough of the other non-dark astral energy types. To amend that, we set our sights on Dana, and implemented a system whereby we could extract energy from it.
And the crown contest began.
Correct. Since the Maiden had been the failing point in the previous plan, it was decided to replace her role with machinery to avoid further mishaps. A new Sovereign had to be made as well. It was such tremendously difficult work, its success was dubious. But from the look of things, it would appear such worries were unfounded.
So that's what the purpose of that room we found in the Forbidden Zone was.
What about the flower that sprouted from Rena?
Flower? Oh, that thing. That's the physical manifestation of all the astral energy that's been harvested from Dana. As I'm sure you've noticed, it's quite a lot of energy. At this point, it's likely that it's become physically integrated with Rena's planetary structure.
Heverick 35 mentioned that the spirit channeling plan is entering its final stage. Is that true?
It is. I never thought I would live to see the day with my own eyes, and yet here we are. Are we done talking now? If it's all the same to you, I'd really rather not miss anything that's about to happen.
He talks like the potential end of the world is just a—
You've got to remember that these guys have been living alone up here for a long time.
It feels like our whole world has been turned upside down. Is there—
Seriously, I'm still trying to process the fact that we Renans were created by the Helganquil, let alone the Sovereign and Maiden stuff.
Let's take a moment to gather ourselves. I know all of this is a lot to believe and take in, but I think it's fair to say that we found...
Agreed. Though I'll admit that I never expected it to all boil down to Rena's great spirit being behind everything.
Everything that's happened, everything we've endured.
And to get that energy, the Great Spirit took control of the Helganquil. Then the Helganquil created the Renans, who went on to invade and rule over the Dahnans.
Plus, the reason the Great Spirit can't directly control the Renans as well is likely because they were originally Dahnans all along.
Either way, I think it's fair to say we've all had a lot to take in at once. Maybe too much, even. We should probably... Why don't we all take some time to think things over?
That's a good idea. If the Renan Great Spirit really is behind all... Because it's not just Dana on the line, but Rena too. If we're going... So let's go ahead and break off for now. You sure you don't want to be alone, right?
I could ask you the same.
I figured I'd get all my thinking in while walking around and checking...
I'll go along with you. I'm interested to hear what's on...
Sounds good.
Everyone's just gone their own way, huh?
Yeah, let's hit up each spot. Everything we thought we knew. It was all just a fabric...
Right. Assuming we can believe and...
Well, if the names are anything to go by, it's possible the Helganquil...
But if Heverick 35 was telling the truth, and this was all just one massive lie, does that mean everything we've done up until...
No, I don't think so. Or at least I hope not. I think it just means we've lost our foothold for now.
Really? Well then, if we've lost it, I guess we'll...
Make one, huh?
Oh, it's you two. Does he seem like he's...
He who?
I know that we're all struggling to wrap our minds around it all.
What do you think about everything we've learned? About the Renan?
On some level, I'm not even really sure what to think, to be honest. I mean, the Great Spirit is like a... But if that thing's hellbent on trying to destroy our planet, as for the Renans, I suppose...
How so?
Coexistence between Dahnans and Renans in Menancia is still a work in progress. In my case, I think that's partly because deep down, I was still on guard around Renans. So, to be told that they're like us, that they're actually just like us is, well, I guess it's a little deflating, to be honest.
You kept a pretty level head.
You mean about the Renans? At the end of the day, but at the same time, I realize...
I know you're already aware of this, but the list of grievances the Dahnans have against the Renans is long. And if people then find out that they're all actually one and the same, yeah, I don't think they're going...
Even just among the Dahnans, I'm sure there'll be some who emerge with power, and some who won't. I think if we can find a way to get rid of that imbalance...
Well, first we can try to figure out what to do about the existing...
Yeah. It'd be nice if one day people...
It's no small task. We can't pretend like the past didn't happen and ask people to forget their very real...
Right. Everybody has their reasons for feeling the way that they do. But if we just keep yelling at each other about it, we'll never move on. In a worst-case scenario, it might lead to even more people getting killed.
And we all have to figure out how to meet halfway. Not just that, but to also embrace...
That's an interesting way of...
It's true. Everybody has their own scars, their own trauma. The first step to healing those wounds is to put aside that it won't be achieved through reasoning. But I think it's a good first step. And now, I think I see a way to move forward. But to do that...
You both seem awfully calm.
Only because after everything we've seen, we don't have the energy to keep being shocked.
How are you holding up, Rinwell? That whole talk about the Renans looked like it shook you up a bit.
Yeah. I get this sinking feeling whenever I remember how Dahnan mages like my family were persecuted and died out. But I was thinking, if Renans end up living together with Dahnans again, then mages won't be such an unusual thing to see on Dahna anymore, right? I know it's not as simple as all that, but Dahnans probably won't be so quick to let their guards down. And there might be Renans who still act superior because of their arts.
It wouldn't surprise me. 300 years of bad blood and prejudice isn't going to be an easy thing to overcome.
Yeah. I know firsthand just how much hatred can take hold in your heart once you let it in. But even so, I was still able to change. And if I can change, so can anyone else. So I was thinking maybe, I don't know, I could use my position as both a...
Rinwell.
That great spirit worries me too. Dahna's will feels so warm and inviting. So why is Rena's will trying to
Now that you mention it, Everett 35 and the other scientists here never
Maybe. But regardless, at the end of the day...
We won't.
I still can't...
You're not the only one still trying to make...
Really? You've never struck me as the...
Did you forget what happened back in Thistleum? Once my
It was really that...
Yeah, it was. But thanks to Law and everybody...
Man, I think you might be a better guy than me, Alphen.
Law.
I was too worried about repeating the same mistakes I'd made back with my dad. That was no way to live. But all this talk about other races and the world ending...
I know this is going to sound strange coming from me, but maybe the key is...
Oh?
I used to worry all the time about my thorns, for obvious reasons, but I never really opened up to anyone about them. And when I realized my visions pointed to a threat that was bigger than me, I didn't know what I should do, or who to tell. But that's when I finally got it. You guys were all there for me, to teach me what's really important. I just had to open up and listen.
In other words, if you let the big picture stuff get you all muddled up inside, you'll begin to lose sight of what you really care about. Yeah, I think you're right.
The thing that's most important, what I really care about, all I want to do is protect the people that really matter to me, to fight for them. That's good enough, right?
Not everyone is strong enough to fight.
Huh?
It's something your dad told me once when he was still alive. Law, you know you're strong enough to fight, and you're strong enough to protect the people you care about. Forget all the big stuff going on. Just don't lose sight of what you want to protect in the first place. Sound good?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it does. It's like a big weight's been lifted off my shoulders. I'll fight to protect the people around me. Just like I always have. I think that's best.
I apologize for making...
You mean hearing the origins of the...
Indeed. It's shocking to have so many things I thought to be indelible fade away in mere...
Even I'm still not sure everything we've heard here is...
Let's not delude ourselves. If what we've heard is a lie... I can only imagine that you must have been constantly feeling like this, ever since your memory returned, Alphen.
That's just part of being alive.
Well, to say the least. But enough about me. I'm not concerned.
When you say the other Renans, you mean the ones...
Correct. Even if we stop the Great putting aside the untold state that Rena may be in, if we do not truly belong there, we will have to think long and hard about where it is that we wish to return.
So, I guess your only real choices at this point are to either stay on Lenegis, or come down to Dana, huh? And right now,
And at the same time, Danans are hardly likely to embrace Renans with open arms. There is, after all, 3 centuries, and the victims of our rule have absolutely every right to feel animosity towards us Renans. Our own circumstances as the aggressors are irrelevant.
I didn't expect the former Lord of Menancia to be so down about people reconciling.
Menancia's fate was a stroke of good luck. There had been backlash over how it had been ruled, and I was blessed to have sympathizers among my ranks. Still, even now, there remain ardent dissidents.
But things can still change if you have the right people to help lead the way. Isn't that what you hope to achieve on Lenegis, after this is all over?
Indeed. I have fully accepted the burden of that responsibility. In that regard, I remain determined. On that note, I have something...
Oh?
I wish for you to serve as a mediator, so that as the one and only Blazing Sword, I suspect the Danans...
And I take it that you'll be the one...
Yes. However, the fact of the matter is that it will take time for Renans to re-enter Danan society without any bloodshed. Is it too...
No, relax. You get so tense and formal when you're...
You're too kind.
That's some high praise, Alf.
Then I'll ask once again. This time...
You don't even need...
Thank you.
Well, it sounds like everyone's learning from their past and using it to create a better future.
What about you, Shionne? How do you...
To be honest, I'm not really all that shocked, actually. I mean, I might right now, it's...
How do you mean?
Because for a really, really long time, all I ever thought about was how I was going to die. I thought I'd die alone. I would have never imagined that I'd be traveling with someone like you. Fighting to save... It's been going on for 300 years. All this tragedy, it was Naori's hope. That somehow, someone in the future would be able to stop it. How it fell on us, of all people, to heed that call.
I don't think Naori was hoping that we would just stop the world from... She considered me a Danan, as a real person. I don't think she wanted the world to be saved, just so they could go back to her.
Huh?
When we were talking to Kisara earlier, about all that stuff, like, she said that the first step down that path was for each of us to put aside our own... That means forgiving other people. Even and especially before they forgive you.
Forgiving. So it goes both...
Yeah. I don't just mean forgiving things that happened in the past, either. If we have any hope of moving on and building a better future, we have to all learn to forgive each other.
You know, you're right. People can hurt one another, without even meaning to. I know that better than most, thanks to these thorns.
It's not going to be easy getting past this pain. But if we can do it, I'm sure there'll come a time when we can all truly understand each other. I'm there with you, Shionne. I too want to protect the world we live in, and all the people we care about. I think that's the very least I can do to repay Naori for everything that she did.
Yeah. I want a future that she would feel proud to live in. And I'm going to...
Whoa there, Savior Girl. We're here to save you.
Yes, I know.
Well, is everybody ready to do what needs to be done?
I am. There's a lot to think about, but at the end of the day, Dana's still in danger. I don't care who we're up against. We'll kick their ass.
What are your thoughts, Alphen? I want to know what's on your mind, too.
Like Law said, If we have to fight the Great Spirit on Rena, and so be it. It's trying to rob us of our entire world. And it's going to take not just our home, but all of existence along with it. That alone is enough to make it our enemy. But it's not only that. One way or another, I think beating the Great Spirit is going to be tied to us saving Xion.
You're saying there's a chance?
You're referring to the vision of destruction we all saw in Lenegis, I take it?
Yeah. 3 centuries ago, the astral energy that appeared at the spirit channeling ceremony showed Naori that vision. And to hear Xion tell it, it's the same one that she sees from her own thorns as well.
Indeed. Xion's thorns are comprised of dark astral energy, the one type which we know is native only to Rena. And if Rena's great spirit is what's behind Dana's pending destruction, then...
Xion's thorns are the Great Spirit? It's not actually on Rena like we thought?
We don't know anything for certain. At the very least, though, I think it's possible her thorns are a part of the Great Spirit.
While the main body resides in Rena.
Xion.
If these thorns really are a part of Rena's Great Spirit, I'm going to go over there and give it a piece of my mind and then some.
The question is, how do we confront it? Suffice it to say, that flower growing out of Rena is enormous, large enough to house the will of an entire planet. The Wedge and Lenegis were both hard enough for us to overcome in their own right. This is an altogether greater challenge for merely 6.
And we only know about the Thorns connection thanks to Naori.
Heverick 35 has been observing the Great Astral Spirit this whole time. It wouldn't ask us to fight it unless it has a plan of some sort. Let's go see what that is. Our minds...
So if the Sovereign and Maiden were originally boot-up programs for Lenegis, what about...
Even with the Forbidden Zone in ruins and the Renis Alma stolen, Lenegis is functioning fine. If it needed us before...
First they lumber you with a position you never asked for, then you're discarded like you're nothing?
More importantly, who do they think we are? We might not even...
I just hope everyone...
Worst comes to worst, Lenegis is equipped with a large number of starships that people can escape in. As long as the whole satellite doesn't suddenly explode or something.
Wait.
In any case, if we're truly going to make a difference, it's on Rena we're needed, not Lenegis. The people...
Right.
you have your answer for me?
We want to ask something first. You're asking us to fight an entire planet. How exactly do you expect us to do that? You must have something up your sleeve, or else you wouldn't put us up to it.
The great astral spirit is an immense being, but its actual will does not run throughout its entire body. Rather, its will is derived from the core, which supports the rest of the body, and is where its strength is most densely concentrated. Therefore, if you destroy the core, the Great Spirit shall become unable to maintain sentience, and return to being ordinary astral energy.
And how are we supposed to destroy that core?
By using the Renus Alma. You will also need the assistance of both the Sovereign and the Maiden. They are our best tools for suppressing and controlling astral energy. Using their powers, the Maiden shall seal the great astral spirit within her body, and the Sovereign shall wield the power of the Renus Alma to destroy it.
Hold on. That sounds a lot like what Shion described before.
Yeah, killing herself to take out the thorns with her.
She was actually right all along.
By my calculations, your powers combined should be sufficient to destroy the great astral spirit, and disperse its energy widely enough to make it difficult to reform.
What will happen to the Maiden once we manage to beat the great astral spirit?
Any matter contained within the field of destruction shall be erased.
So it really will kill me.
This method is the most simple one available to destroy the Great Spirit, and is therefore our most reliable option.
What are our other options?
There is little reason to consider alternative courses of action when the most optimal among them is so clear.
You don't get it. I promised Shion that she wouldn't die, that we'd save the world without needing to sacrifice her. We didn't fight this whole time just to give up on her at the very end. If there's any other way to take out the Great Spirit, I want to hear it.
This plan shall lead to the fewest losses in preserving your world. Abandoning it is irrational. It is vital that you proceed with this plan. A part of Rena's great astral spirit already resides within her. 300 years ago, the Great Spirit descended upon Lenegis in an attempt to assume direct control of the spirit channeling ceremony. We have reason to believe the Great Spirit left part of itself behind, and that it now resides in the Maiden.
Which would make Alphen's earlier hypothesis correct.
That part inside the Maiden belongs to the core, and can be used by the great astral spirit to revive itself. So long as it remains, it will be all but impossible to fully eradicate the Great Spirit. That is why it is necessary for it to be vanquished only once it is whole. Without the Maiden's direct control over the Great Spirit, attacking it is futile, and will only serve to strengthen it.
No.
Wait. Naori said that the Renus Alma can suppress the self-realization of astral energy, and that the thorns can be neutralized by placing them in it. If so, can't the same also be done to the Great Spirit, seeing as the thorns are simply part of it?
Well, can it?
It is true that the Renus Alma is capable of what you suggest, and could contain the great astral spirit.
Yes!
However, doing so requires fine control on the level of the spirit channeling ceremony, considering that the Renus Alma was previously lost when that ceremony failed. I cannot allow it. Its uncertainty is simply too great.
What does that mean for us if you won't allow it?
Your starship will not be restored, and you will all be unable to leave here.
Why you?
Fine then. I'd rather stay here and rot than do it your way.
Alphen?
Whatever we do, if we mess up, Dana's screwed. The Great Spirit will destroy it. If you're fine letting that happen, and we have nothing to gain either way, then I'd rather do nothing. We want to stop Dana from getting destroyed. We want to save it. But not if it means having to sacrifice one of us in the process. If all you're gonna do is sit back and watch us where it's safe, Then quit ordering us around and shut up!
Alphen.
What you say is irrational. Be that as it may, I shall accede to your demand.
You'll agree?
I am an observer. The Sovereign, Maiden, and Renis Alma are my species' greatest achievement. I wish to see how well they work against the Great Spirit in light of our demise by its hands.
But what are we supposed to do about the Renis Alma? One of your buddies ran off with it back on Lenegis.
It is likely that the Renis Alma is with the Great Spirit, functioning as a catalyst for it to receive Dana's astral energy.
So our only option to retrieve it is to head straight for the Great Spirit. Spirit and take it back?
According to my observations, the astral energy is most densely concentrated in the center of Rena, where the Great Spirit's core is located.
So right in the middle of that giant flower, then.
I have one more question. You've said that Rena's great astral spirit is already integrated with the planet. What will happen to Rena once it vanishes?
Without the will of the Great Spirit, Rena is predicted to collapse. Even in such a scenario, the energy will disperse, and the Great Spirit will likely not reform.
So you're saying that even if we manage to beat the Great Spirit without destroying it, we'll still be in danger?
Likely, the collapse will occur in stages. It is recommended that you all escape before the final stage.
Man, I wish that thing would tell it to us straight for once.
Hevrek 35 and the others have gotten used to hypothesizing from afar, is all. Fix our starship. We're going to Rena.
Excellent.
But I want to make one thing clear. We're doing this for ourselves, to protect what matters to us. We're not doing it for your sake, or because you told us to. Remember that.
It matters little to me. The end result shall be the same. Repair work on your starship has commenced. You'll have to wait until it's finished.
Man, is it too much? to ask for help.